All right, ready to rock and roll. We are tackling Mayday, dubbed, and this is a big one, the Beatles of the Chinese-speaking world.
Wow, that's quite a title.
It is. So let's see, are they really living up to that legacy, still rocking it, or are some of those criticisms we've got here kind of on point?
See, that's what I find fascinating. It's not just about one band, right? It's like their journey, Mayday's, it mirrors these bigger shifts in culture. We'll be digging into the late 90s music scene in Taiwan, how their sounds transformed over, 3 decades now. And do those themes of youth chasing dreams, does that still hit home today?
I'm totally there. So, rewind with me. Picture this. Bunch of high school buddies, crammed in their school's club office, probably supposed to be studying, but they're surrounded by instruments, dreaming of stadiums packed with screaming fans.
The classic underdog story.
No.
And it resonates,
Totally. And you can actually hear those early influences, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The sources mentioned the Beatles, of course, but also Guns N' Roses, U2.
A little bit of everything.
They absorbed it all, blended it, made it their own. That fusion of Western rock with this undeniable Taiwanese spirit is what makes them so unique.
And speaking of unique, the name Mayday, not your average band name, especially back then. The internet was just becoming a thing.
Right, like Mayday, Mayday, we're going viral. So ahead of their time.
Exactly. They started as So Band, kind of generic, but then one member's online nickname was Mayday, and bam, history was made.
It's brilliant. Whether they knew it then or not, that name. It's raw energy. It's urgent. A call to action almost. And don't forget, this was the late 90s. Taiwan was going through some serious changes, socially, politically.
Their music became the soundtrack.
Exactly. A voice for that generation, yearning for something more. And did they ever find their voice? Debut album drops in 99.
Explodes. 300,000 copies sold.
Phenomenal. Especially pre-digital, before everyone was downloading.
Seriously. So what do you think it was? What was that sound that just grabbed people? It's more than just the sound, though, isn't it? It's got to be the feel, right? The way it makes you feel something.
100%. And you could hear it in those lyrics. Early stuff, very much about that youthful idealism, growing up, figuring out who you are.
And universal stuff.
Totally universal, but they put it in the context of Taiwan at that time. Suddenly it's not just a song, it's this shared experience. Like you're part of something bigger.
A generation finding its voice, and everything's changing around them. And the cool thing is, Mayday, they didn't just stick to one sound, right? All these articles talk about them evolving.
That's what's so interesting. They never wanted to be put in a box. They experimented, brought in pop, electronic stuff, even orchestral arrangements later on.
Oh, yeah. We have to talk about Embrace. That song became huge for the LGBTQ movement in Taiwan, didn't it?
Absolutely. It transcended the whole rock ballad thing. It became about acceptance, inclusion. That took guts to address that head on. And it cemented that bond with their audience even more.
Speaking of guts, their themes got pretty complex as they went on. We've got songs inspired by perfume, Kafka on the Shore. This isn't your typical top 40 stuff.
Right. It tells you something about them and their fans. They weren't afraid to be smart. Even environmentalism gets woven into their music.
That album, Second Life, that's a whole mood.
Total concept album. Existentialism, what it means to be alive, finding purpose in a world that feels kind of crazy. Heavy stuff.
Which brings us to the criticisms. Some of these articles say, look, those themes, youth, hope, all that, doesn't it get old after a while? Are they holding on to the past?
The big question, how do you evolve as a band, but not leave your fans behind? Some bands reinvent, some find what works and stick with it. It's a tough balance.
But even with those criticisms, they're still packing stadiums.
That's the thing about connection, right? It's powerful.
Real staying power.
Remember that quote, Mayday is like a friend?
Yeah, someone said that about them.
It's more than just a marketing line, It's how people feel. They've grown up with their fans, gone through the same stuff, hopes, worries, the whole deal.
Totally. Think about it. Their concerts are legendary. People travel from all over just to see them.
They've become a symbol, haven't they? That energy, that optimism, believing things can be better.
Maybe that's the Mayday magic formula.
Could be. Musical talent, yeah, but also that emotional intelligence. They get people.
They connect.
And that makes you think, right, if Mayday, if they represent all that, the hope, the energy, what happens when that's challenged? The world's a messy place.
It is.
So does their music offer escape? Or is it a call to action? Or maybe maybe it's both.
That's what's so cool, though, right? Everyone gets to decide what it means to them. Are they more than just a band? I mean, from everything we've learned, the early days, the music changing, the impact, I'd say they're a phenomenon.
No argument here.
This deep dive has got me in the mood for some Mayday. So whether you're a diehard fan or this is your first time, I highly recommend check them out. You might be surprised. Until next time, keep exploring because there's always something new to discover.
If you enjoy our podcast, C-Pop Deep Dive, don't forget to leave a message, give us a 5-star rating, subscribe, and share your favorite episodes on social media. You can find us on Instagram at @CPOP Deep Dive. We look forward to hearing your thoughts on the show.